Hi everybody, welcome to another one of my DayZ modding videos where we look at how you can edit and mod your Nitrado console DayZ server, though actually everything I cover in these videos applies to PC as well, so it's PlayStation, Xbox and PC. And in this video we're going to be looking at the settings you can change very easily that will control things like how fast time passes on your server, and also building as well, so you know where people can build, because this is really cool. So what you want to do is go to the web interface for your particular server that you want to play around with, and once it loads up, what we want to do is we want to go into settings general. Now, I'm recording this video at the end of January in 2022, and as DayZ develops and we're given access to more tools, these things will change. So I will try and do updated videos, but if you discover there's something here that isn't in your one, it means the game has been updated, and I need to do that. So let's go down. So let's have a look at some of these settings we can play around with. Let's go full screen. So at start, you've got mission is Chernarus. So if we want to change the map, we could change to Livonia. So you can just click on Livonia Enoch. What happens there is that when you restart the server, you will then be on Livonia, and if people have got the DLC, they can then jump in and play on Livonia. Now, everybody's characters that were on Chernarus are saved, but they won't come over to Livonia. People will start off with new characters, and then when you switch back to Chernarus, the Chernarus characters will be there. We've talked about host names and passwords. Now, here we go. So server time multiplier and server time multiplier night. Very important little things, these, because one of the reasons for owning a server is often so that you can set it so that it's daytime all of the time, or you have very short nights, basically. So the way that this works is that the number that you see here is a multiplier to how fast time travels. So if we think, basically there's 12 hours day and 12 hours night. So if we have a server time multiplier of 2, the days will last 6 hours and the nights will last 6 hours as well. So that's the way that works. Then we've got the server time multiplier night. Now, what this actually says here, is actually wrong, because it says this value is also multiplied by the server time acceleration value. It shouldn't do, since I think it's DayZ update 1.14, I think. So basically, if you want your nights to go faster, have a bigger number here. So we can kind of work this out. So my server time multiplier night is set to 16. So if we bring up the calculator, so if we don't want to bring up that, press the wrong button. Let's shut that down. Bye-bye, AverMedia. So if we bring up the calculator, so if we say, let's clear that out. So say the night is 12 hours. So 12 times 60. So a night is 720 minutes. So if we divide that by 16, so it's 45 minutes. So my nights will only last 45 minutes with a server time multiplier of 16. So that's not very long, but it's enough to kind of experience night. So if you went up to say 32, they would go even faster. So if I wanted to have, say, very short nights but long days, I would probably have a server time multiplier of 2 and a server multiplier night of 32. That way you get a small little taste of night, but pretty soon it gets bright again and players can carry on. And I think that's very important. Now, use system time. So what this does is that if you have that ticked, when your server starts, depending on where your server is, it will look at the clock on the computer that it's on and go, that's the time now in DayZ. So if your server, for example, is in the UK, like I'm in the UK, and the server does a restart, it will go, okay, so it's now, when I'm recording this video, it's 20 past 5 in the evening, it's 20 past 5 in DayZ, and it will set the time to that when it starts. So you can have that if you want, or you can have a custom server time. So we don't put a tick there. And so on my server, every time it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning on the 7th of July 2019. So every time it restarts, so I think my server restarts every 6 hours. Every 6 hours it restarts. It's 8 o'clock in the morning again. So it's morning, it's daylight, and it's the 7th of July. Now, the idea of this is that actually in DayZ.exe that's running on your server, the time of year affects how warm it is. So by having it in July, the server's actually a little bit warmer than it would be if it was set to like January. Now, obviously, you don't have to have that. You could have it so it uses system time. And that way, you would have a reflection of what the time of year it is. Now, it doesn't matter, say, if you're in the Caribbean. It's not like your DayZ is going to be warm because these are all based around Cherniris, which is in Eastern Europe. But that's an interesting thing you can have. And you can also have persistent server time. So if you tick that, what that means is that when the server closes down, it will remember what time it thinks it is. And then when it starts again, it will carry on from that particular value. So moving on. So what you can do is you can make your server maybe a hardcore server. So we've got deactivate third person, so everybody's in first person. Not recommended, to be honest, because DayZ doesn't run that great on base PlayStation 4s or Xbox Ones. So it runs better in third person. Deactivate crosshair. Reduce log output. We'll look at logs in a future video, so I would tick that. Reset mission XML to default. Leave that unticked. We use that to reset our servers, kind of. Log damage, log placement, I have those ticked. Log base building, I don't. Log player list, I have that ticked. Again, this is to do with logs. Night lighting, if you want to have really dark nights, tick that box. And then personal light, what you can do is you can tick that and that will disable that. You can have allow mouse and keyboard. We've talked about whitelisted players. And then what I've got down here is I've got disable base damage, disable container damage, and enable cfggameplay.json. Now, if you've got this bottom thing ticked, it overrides these two anyway. But once you've made the changes that we've talked about, just click Save Changes, restart your server, and those things will then come to take effect. So your time multiplier and your time multiplier night. Now, what we're going to do, though, is I want you to tick enable cfggameplay.json, and I want you to save that. Then I want you to go on Settings General. No, I don't. I want you to go in Tools File Browser. And I want you to go into the Missions folder. And I want you to go into the Cherniris folder if it's a Cherniris server. Or I want you to go into the Enoch folder if it's Livonia. And I want you to scroll down to go to the cfggameplay.json. And I want you to click on that. And we're going to open this in the browser. Because this is a very, very powerful file. Now remember, because we've enabled this now overrides any of the settings we did at the beginning. So let's scroll down. Now remember, when you make any changes to this file, you have to be very, very careful. So first thing you want to do is you want to stop your server. So disable base damage. Yes, we don't want people to be able to damage bases because mine is a PvE server. Your one might be a PvP server, so have that set to 0. Disable container damage. Again, I've set that on. Again, you can set that to 0. Basically, if you want to allow base raiding, then have that set to 0. We're going to talk about stamina in a future video. Lighting config 1. Ignore the other stuff. What we're interested now here is base building data. Now, one of the really cool things about having a private server, a community server, is the fact that you can make it so people can build anywhere. So they can build these amazing structures underwater, on the side of hills, on the top of buildings, all this wonderful stuff. So I highly recommend you change all of the zeros in all of these to 1. So disable is colliding, right through to disable in terrain. Change them all to carefully change them to 1. Make sure you don't delete any of the commas. Disable roof check 1, disable colliding check 1, disable distance check 1. Put all those to 1, and then people will love it because they'll be able to build wherever they like. They might build some weird things, but they'll be able to build some amazing things as well. And the rest of it you can kind of ignore. Just save that, restart your server, and already, just by changing these few things, we've changed how fast the time changes. We kind of changed the temperature a bit because we've chosen when our server starts, and we've allowed our players to basically build anywhere. And that's absolutely amazing that they can do that. And people love it. Honestly, they love it. So there we go. There's that video. Remember, if you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see some more of the same, press subscribe. If you found it useful, put in the comments down below what you did. If you've got any questions, though, please put them down because I use those questions to drive the content for this channel. So if you've got a question If I know the answer, I'll make a video about it. If I don't know the answer, I'll look into it and then I'll make a video about it, because I just want to be there and create useful videos that people can use to help them with their DayZ console server modding. And remember, there are no stupid questions. Honestly, no matter how simple you might think the question is, don't be scared, just ask, because I probably asked that same question myself. Anyway, there we go, and I'll see you again soon.